Hi everyone, I'm Vone, owner and maker of Vone Knits, and you're watching Dare to Be Original, and I have a super awesome creative interview for you today. Listen, I've been begging her all of last year, and she kept saying no, 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 and then 2018 came, and you know that rejuvency that we have for the new year, that's when I capitalized. And I said, this is the year she's going to say yes. She's going to go yes, and here she is. Sarah McFall, tell everybody who you are.
Hi everyone. I'm Sarah and from Yarn and Blarney. I am a crochet designer and maker. I focus mainly on patterns, but then you end up with lots of things that you have made and they need homes to go to. That and I really do love crocheting, so if I find a pattern I like, it just has to be done. I just have to make it.
That's awesome. So that's your creative spark then. So do you just crochet?
Well, I now knit as well.
Look at you. That's awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. So you're a crochet master and a newbie knitter.
Yes, that's definitely the right way around. I'm gaining confidence with the knitting.
I am a crochet master and I was a newbie knitter, and now I'm a prolific knitter.
Ooh.
So this year I'm going to be a prolific knitter, and I'm a prolific knitter on my way to knitting mastery. That is the new line.
Excellent.
So that's what you have coming up for you past the newbie stage.
Well, I always used to say that I was a beginner knitter. Mm-hmm. And then I thought, well, but hold on, I know how to cast on, cast off, knit, purl, increase, decrease. Maybe I can move out of the beginner category.
You can totally be a prolific knitter like me. And the only way, and because I just learned last year how to cable, now that's why I'm on my way to mastery.
Yeah.
That's where the games get stepped up a bit. Yeah. That's awesome. So you have an Etsy shop?
Yes.
How long have you been on Etsy?
I have been on Etsy since November of, I was going to say last year, but that's not true. It was a year.
A year?
So 2016 I must have opened on Etsy.
Awesome.
So that was a year in November, was the sort of happy birthday Etsy shop thing.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. And so now you've got a full year in. How do you like it? Do you still like it?
I need to work on it more. I really haven't done like a whole lot with it. Mm-hmm. In terms of, promoting and checking all my, tags and titles and keywords. I feel like there's a lot to learn.
Yeah.
And it's quite time consuming.
It is. But it's like everything. It's like with everything else. But imagine if you loved Etsy, if you loved the selling part of it, and you're going to do it. Just like imagine if you loved Etsy and your selling shop aspect of it as much as you love crochet.
Yeah.
How much time would you put into it?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. How much time do you put into crochet? It's funny because we love crochet and we love to knit, so we never think, oh, it's hard or it's time consuming. No, we just put 8 hours into it and not realize the house just went a wreck, and we're still in our jammies, and you know what I mean? And our hair is never brushed. But we're like, oh, it's like we just got up, but we've been knitting and crocheting for 8 hours straight, and that's not time consuming. But let me put an hour into Etsy shop, and we're like, oh my God, this is so much work.
But I just find it really exhausting. I think for me, it's a different type of concentration.
Yes.
So if I'm sat at the computer and I'm reading things and then I'm thinking about what to write, I, can spend an hour, come off and think, I need to have a little lie down now.
It's overwhelming, right?
Nobody talk to me for an hour, send tea.
Yes. Yep, yep. It's like anything new. It's overwhelming. That's usually how I work. If I spend like an hour on a call or learning something, or trying to consume something, a video of some sort, that's how usually I have to process it too. I and then I step away. I shut everything off, and I kind of just step away and go, nobody bother me, and just let whatever happen, let it brew. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I
Mhm.
think the problem is uh, I've tried to just jump right into things, and that's when it gets overwhelming, because then you're like, what did I just learn?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm like you. I need to sit and stew with it
Yeah. But
and let it marinate.
and it's the sort of thing that I like. I'm going to attempt like this year to devote like a certain portion of time to learning about it, to um, making it better, making it work better for me. But I
Mhm.
almost feel like I need to, set aside some time and say, okay, even if it's just an hour a week, say
Mhm.
like, Monday afternoon or whenever, I'm going to sit down and this is going to be my, Etsy learning time,
Yes.
and either be reading about it or watching videos or spend time, in my shop
Yes.
arranging things.
Sarah, that is such a genius. Like, that is a gem. That's a gem. That's a gem tip. That is so good, because that's exactly what like people we need to do. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I do when I'm like overwhelmed with things, like, and I have a lot on my plate, and I'm always trying to learn, and I'm always trying to figure out what to concentrate on, and
Mm-hmm.
I have shiny item syndrome, where, you know what I mean, like something new and I want to do it, but at the same time this year, that's why my word of the year is intention. Is I want to fully set intention on
Yeah.
that I do, and make time to do the things that will move my needle and will
Mm-hmm.
and take me to the direction that I want to go to, you
Yeah.
know. And that's the thing, we can sit and harp and go, I want to do this and I should do that, I want to do this, but if you've never put it in your schedule to make that time for it, to learn about it, to engage,
Mm-hmm.
to get to know it, how will you ever get there? And all of a sudden the year goes by and you're like, I'm still here going, yeah, I need to do
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
yeah, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, so that's an excellent tip, and I highly encourage that, you know what I mean? Like, and I do take steps like the same steps like that. And then if if those times become too small or too large, I do reassess, you know what I mean? And that's
Mm-hmm.
another thing that I started to do at the end of the last year. And I'm taking time this year, definitely more on a weekly basis, where I assess, even on a daily basis, I assess of what's eating up my time and what's taking
Mm-hmm.
up energy, and you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
getting rid of stuff and adding stuff on, like just being intentional, paying attention to it,
Mm-hmm.
And,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah,
But
and
you
since
need to
we're
be in.
both Etsy platforms.
Yeah. But you need to be intentional with your time and
Mhm.
know the time that you have, and
Yeah.
also with your energy, because
Yes.
everyone has different stuff going on. I know there's lots of the ladies in the Facebook group have children, or also work full or part-time, so you're limited to the time that you have. You're also limited to the energy that you have, and sometimes you just have to go, do you know what, I could spend an hour now and get next to nothing done. Whereas if I spend 20 minutes, after
Mhm.
I've eaten and put the kids to, after I've gotten some energy back,
Yeah. Yeah.
you can get tons done.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. That's another great point. Yes, when you force yourself on, you know what I mean? When you're forcing yourself to do something, yeah,
Yeah.
intention has
Because,
something to do with it. You could just put the hour in, but you're going to sit there and blindly,
yeah.
you know what I mean, and be
Yeah.
miserable about it.
Yeah.
Or, yeah, you can take your nap, have your cup of tea, wait for the kids, and then take a laser focused 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And that laser focused 10 minutes is 1,000 times more valuable than your blindly 1 hour, like, let me just clock this in and clock
Yeah.
this out. No, that's
Yeah.
definitely a great gem. I want to pause too, because Sarah and I are both celebrating today. You
Yeah.
know, Sarah and I are celebrating partners. We're dancing partners on the internet, and I got some great moves, but I don't want to put my hip out because Sarah knows what I'm talking about.
We've been having a lot of dance parties lately. We need to, get some energy back and
Yes.
get the muscles stretched out.
So Sarah helped me hit my 1,000 subscribers on YouTube yesterday, and so I had a big party, and and Sarah. That was my yesterday party, but Sarah is celebrating today too. So let's have Sarah share what are you celebrating today?
I am celebrating, and I should have put it into say. Today is 1 year to the day that I released my first ever crochet pattern.
That's awesome, and I saw it. That's like the crochet tank, right?
Yeah, it's a sleeveless top.
Oh, beautiful.
Which,
beautiful.
If you're not a designer and you're thinking, Sarah can do it, I can do it, I wouldn't necessarily recommend starting with an item of clothing. Start with like a square. Maybe go, do you know what? I'll start out with a flannel, face cloth, or maybe like a blanket. Something that, doesn't need to change shape. Something that doesn't need to be available in 3 different sizes. That is the real top tip. Yeah, save that garment making for when you've actually designed, more than one pattern.
See, you learned something that I knew a long time ago. Where I'm like, I have one pattern out and done, and that is from a scarf, and all that is so unlike any other pattern that you've ever seen, because it's not strategic, it's not finite, it's not, you know what I mean? It doesn't have, like, mine is series of stitches that you can do whatever which way, use whatever yarn, use whatever needle, and that's my pattern, guys. That's how I show it to you. But that's why I never do clothing. That's why.
It honestly was the only idea in my head.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was a real, can I do this? Can I make it work?
Yeah.
And so it was fine. It was just adding in the other sizes, because I worked out the medium size and that size fit me. And then I thought, well, but it maybe needs small and large. And then, because of course I had put a chevron pattern into it, with pattern repeats, and, the next thing I'm going, okay, I'm going to need a calculator and some paper and a pencil, and maybe nobody speak to me for, several hours.
Yep.
Let's make that coffee strong.
Yes. Oh, that's awesome. I love hearing this. And that's the thing about it is you had an inspiration, and you said that it was a part of you. You could have easily done some like granny square or something to release and make it easier, like a headband, but no, you're like, I'm gonna full out design a chevron. And if anybody doesn't know what a chevron is, it is a design that goes like this, right?
Yeah.
Right? Chevron. So that's a repeating pattern. That's you got to know where like where it goes and where it ends, and then make sure that, like, that's amazing. And to do an article of clothing, like, I love hearing designers talk in that aspect. Arika is one of them that is known for designing clothes and extravagant. Like, she's always using up to like ahead of the game techniques. Like that. I love. It's mind blowing to know you guys as clothing designers, because I just think it's such a fascinating topic, and I think it's so great because it is math. It is a lot of math. So talk a little bit about that process, like how it got you. And you guys, I'm gonna leave a pattern, that link. So share me that link to that pattern, Sarah, so that I can put it at the bottom of the description. So if you guys want that pattern, go check it out. Definitely go to the bottom of this description for it.
Well, it's really funny because I was kind of convinced that I would never be able to move away from using patterns. I was always the person, I would get the books,
Mm-hmm.
I would get the magazines, and I was like, yep, this is great. I can follow a pattern. And then as I got on Facebook and Instagram, there were all these people saying, oh, well, I thought I'd just wing it. And I'm like, what? I'm sorry, what did you say? And how did it turn out to, look like something that could actually, be worn, or, it was meant to be a flower and it looks like a flower?
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't understand that at all, even though I'd been crocheting for years at that point. And I thought, I cannot see how I could ever do that. And I just would carry on with my crocheting and, maybe like jot down a couple of ideas, but just really did not know where to start.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do you even, if you get an idea for a design, how do you even start? Where do you start? Do you need to, make notes, or do you just start hooking away? So I was on Instagram, and a friend of mine had talked about a designer boot camp that she was joining. And so it was a free 12-week course, or it wasn't free, but it wasn't expensive.
Right.
And I thought, maybe this is it. Maybe, there's no harm going to come from me taking part in this course and, being able to, on a weekly / or daily basis, being able to ask questions. We'll find out whether I can do it or not. So it was part of this 12-week course, and each week was a different step. That then I started to take this idea that I had and actually see, hold on, I can turn this into something. I can actually make this happen. So I followed all the steps, and a year ago, put the first pattern out into the world, and was then amazed that people liked it and bought it.
That's always the cream, right? That's always the cream on top. Like, that's awesome. That's awesome. Just the celebration of getting it out there and completing it and finishing it and conquering it. Like, that's that is the cake. That is the full cake. You know what I mean? But the icing
that was the success.
Mm-hmm.
The success for me was that I had accomplished what I set out to do. Mm-hmm. It's fantastic that people have loved it and bought the pattern and made it and are, I'm thrilled. There are people who it was their first ever garment. And that to me just was fantastic. But I had almost predefined what success was going to be for me, in that I had accomplished what I'd set out to do.
Yes.
I wanted to make this pattern and I wanted to get it out into the world. So at that point, I was successful. Everything else is just like, icing and sprinkles and frosting on top of the cake.
Yeah. You guys know why Sarah is so dear to my heart. Like, I do want to take the time to definitely say this, because there are a few souls. Like, I've come across a lot of handmade makers doing what I'm doing the past couple of years, and there are a few souls that really touch me, and Sarah is one of those souls that I'm going to be long gone and with the Lord, and I'm going to be like, where's Sarah? I want to check in on her and see how she's doing, because you are such a gem, and these are reasons why. Like, this is chatting with you like this. We've only communicated through phones and computers and keyboards, never live face to face. And I love watching you and hearing you, and you are just as rich as you are, through the keyboards. And this is exactly the reason why, you know what I mean? And yeah, that is great. And And you guys all know, if you've been following me for any amount of time, you know how I am about education and learning and growing yourself and conquering those fears and getting past yourself, because look at the outcome, a little investment that you made in yourself, and look at that reward, Sarah.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Do you ever look at, no matter how nominal that fee was, do you ever look at and go, where'd you came from? Because the end result of that class, of you taking the time to grow yourself, look at, you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's kind of unbelievable. It's one of those situations where I honestly thought it wasn't possible. So the fact that it's happened, it's like when I took my when I was learning to drive, I remember clearly sitting in the car and thinking, there is no way I am ever going to be able to pass my test and drive myself. I remember that clearly. Well, I can tell you that I passed my test first time, and I've been driving for many years. So I use that to remind me whenever I find that things are tough or difficult, well, hold on, I thought that would never happen, and it did. So let me just try. And so the pattern writing and putting the top out is another example of that. And then I can use that to go, hold on a minute, I never thought that would happen. And it has. I mean, I set myself a goal last year, and I thought, right, I would really like to release 6 patterns. I thought I had wanted to do 12, but actually I knew that with my health and just the way things are, that actually that was just going to heap way too much pressure on myself.
Yeah.
And what's the point in that? You need to set yourself up for success.
Yes, you do. That's a big deal. Yep.
And so I thought, right, okay. So from that one taking that class, that then set me up to hit that goal, which I did. I hit that goal by the end of September last year.
That's awesome.
And that to me was huge. And again, it was I want to write and release 6 patterns. So when I had done that, that was my success.
Yes.
The fact that people like them and have bought them and have made them is just like, a blessing heaped on blessing.
Oh, yes. So we're filming this ahead, but so this is going to get released around March, in the middle of March sometime. What is your big plans for this year?
Well, it's still a little bit up in the air because I started this year really not feeling well. And so I really just needed to take some time to just rest and relax and not make myself worse. Sometimes if you try and push yourself, you're just going to crash, and there's no point. So I've got 4 patterns that I've written the draft sort of version of, and I managed to get the draft for those written before Christmas. So my goal is that I will finish and release those 4. I've got a couple of other ideas. There's a little top that I made ages ago, and actually that time I did just wing it. So somebody said to me, "You need to write the pattern." I'm like, "Okay, I'll try." So we might wait and see whether that happens. Right. But this year my big goal is to get my website up and running.
That's awesome.
So like this first quarter of this year, I'm doing a lot of more background work. I don't really have as much to show, but at some point I will do. Like I'm trying to get all the there's writing that needs to be done, or figuring out how I want it to look, or figuring, trying to think what is actually going to be useful. What, in terms of content,
Right.
Are people gonna want to see?
That's
So
yeah.
trying to think about, what is important to me, so that I can make sure that's what I'm putting out, rather than being, here, there, and everywhere and completely frazzled.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. When you get that website up and running, like definitely let me know and I'll add it right into this description. So if they're watching it and they see the website up, they'll know
Well,
you've accomplished
hopefully,
that goal. And if you
hopefully,
know what I mean? Yeah. And
hopefully by the time that this goes out,
there, so you're like,
it should be a lot
yeah,
closer, if not there.
near that end of that first quarter,
Yeah.
That's awesome. Oh, well, Sarah, this has been such a treat. I'm so, so glad that you came on. I'm so, so glad that you said yes this year. And so, you guys, all of Sarah's links are down below. Definitely check her out, find her, check out her patterns. She is so creative. And so, and maybe, since we're still very early on in the year and you've got patterns released in crochet, maybe, just maybe a simple knit headband, like headband. I'm not saying go buck wild,
Yeah.
get a clothing item,
Yeah.
and start your knitting, but maybe a by designer, like you can get 2 techniques going out there, how fantastic would that be?
I have thought about it.
Yeah,
so
thought about it. Here's another thing. Do you have, how do you keep your ideas? Like, how do you where do you generate, like, where do you store all these things? It's all in your head? Do you write them down? Do you have a system? What's happening? How do you, because creative people,
I have a notebook and a pencil like beside me on the sofa. So if I get an idea, I'll just write it down. Sometimes I'll do like just a random brainstorm, because I know that I'm just not going to remember it. If I don't write it down, then, I could suddenly wake up in 6 months ago, oh, I had that idea that one time, So I write it down in my notebook and just put down whatever notes or things I come up with at the time. Like I want to do something in double knit weight yarn. I want to use a 5mm hook, and I want it to have, stripes or be done in a sock. Whatever information I have at the time, I'll jot down. So it could be that I'm not looking at that again for ages, but I've got that as a starting point. And then I also use Trello.
I love it.
So on Trello, what I've done is created a workflow. So it's basically a card within Trello that has it's basically a long checklist, but it's the steps that I go through in the design process from beginning to end. So the steps that I learned in the course, because each one of those was a separate step in a separate week. So I've made those a separate checklist item. So I've got one board that has like my product. So even things, if it's just an idea, I'll like give it a heading and I'll copy and paste this workflow in, so that then when I do start, I've got the order. Now there are times when I'll just go off-piste and not do that, but it works a lot better. For me, it works a lot better if there's some sort of structure. Yes.
Oh, you've touched on another gem right there, because that's what I'm actually working on. I didn't film it yet, but I will be, it may be released probably after this, but this year I'm, with my year of intention, I'm big on systems, routines, and habits.
Yes.
Creating systems, routines, and habits. And they're so big that I'll probably do a video just on the broad topic of the 3, and then a narrow down version of each topic, which is, creating a system for you to do that is so like valuable. And that's actually what I've been working on. I've taken 2 weeks off to basically rest and heal and repair
Mhm.
and all that stuff. But at the same time, I'm being mindful and creating systems that will help me work better and
Yeah.
flow things better, and writing things down and keeping them in a form and creating checklists. And they're all so valuable. Like, yes, I highly recommend it. I'm so glad that you do that. And that's why you're able to produce, you know what I mean? And create, because when you have those little backbones set up in place, you know, and know like the technical things that you need to do to get things done, it just frees up your brain and your heart and your mind, everything. It just frees it all up to create
Yeah.
unabashedly, you know what I mean? Because you don't have to
Yeah.
go, oh, what did I forget? You know what I mean? Like, right?
Yeah. And see, this for this year, I did like a sort of brainstorm of how I wanted to feel. So for 2018, rather than going, I want to do specifically, you know, this and this and this, I was like, how do I want to feel in my business?
Yes.
I heard someone mention it, so I thought, okay, and I just wrote down whatever was in my head, and it was, you know, work smarter, not harder. It's, you know, getting systems in place, you know,
Yes.
even freeing up some energy and concentration power, because you're not constantly thinking, but what am I doing now? And for me, that often means doing less than I would want to, but I know that that's the way to get things done. And because consistency is a big thing for me. I don't want to be doing, you know, loads and then nothing and loads and then nothing. And also because in terms of managing your energy, you're just boom and bust. That's what the medical professionals call it, boom and bust.
Yeah.
And it is just so wearing on you. So having things in place, and I mean, I've heard and been told, you know, your business isn't going to grow, or it's not going to grow as quickly, or it's not going to grow as much. But I know for me, I want to be consistent. I want people to know that I'm not going to suddenly disappear for 2 months. You know, I'm going to be there. Not, you know, it might be only 3 times a week, but I'm going to be there. And that it's not that I'm just going to rush through something just to try and put anything out there.
Yeah.
It's going to be something that, you know, it might take me longer to do, but if I'm happy with like the quality of it, then for me, that's what's important. I don't want to be putting, you know, if people are going to pay good money for my patterns, I want it to be as good as it can be.
Right.
That's not to say that it's going to be perfect. You know, there's always still, you know, mistakes can creep in, but I want it to be as good as I can get it. I want my work to be as good as I can get it. Because for me, otherwise there's not much point.
Yeah. Why bother? Right. Yep. Oh
yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So, you know, maybe will, you know, never be earning millions of dollars, and maybe I won't have, you know, huge YouTube followings or Instagram followings, but I would rather be connected with the right people, with good people, with people I can help and encourage.
Yeah.
And do that.
Yep. That's exactly the name of my game. I'm totally on pace with you there. Totally on pace with you. Before this, if you watched, I had already filmed and released the book Essentialism. I read that last year, and that's where it all comes from. It's doing what's important and doing it well, doing less, you know what I mean, but better. Like that's it. That's where it's at. That's the quality of it, and the pace and the time, and that does mean saying no to a lot of things. That does mean like saying no to the big and the rush and the plenty and the many and the out there and the always, the you know what I mean. That means a lot of that discretion. But when you do pass up on all those things, what's left over is the right and the perfect and the, you know what I mean, and the strong and what's rich and what's good, you know what I mean, like that's what all that happens with slow time, like all that, you know what I mean, and consistency and you know, like not rushing through and everything. And so I love it.
But that's a huge like emotional and mental thing, you know, because we look at the numbers, and I've heard recently people describe them as vanity numbers. And that actually really helped me, but it's only like my Instagram has been going for over a year, probably like a year and a half. And it's taken till now for me to actually realize. I realized the other day I'd stopped looking at the numbers. I wasn't paying as much attention to the numbers.
I love
I
it.
would see that people had liked the post, and I would see the comments, and I respond to the comments. You know, because that's the good stuff. But it's taken time. It's taken me constantly saying to myself, this is okay, this is not important. You know, you need to keep on going, and it doesn't matter that it doesn't look like what anyone else is doing.
Love it.
But it's hard. I've had to intentionally work on it. The fact that people ever say to me, gosh, you're so encouraging, I have worked on it. I remember having a word with myself probably like a year and a half ago and saying, okay, I want to be an encouraging person. So then I'm going to have to set aside how I feel whenever I see this post or that post or this success or that success. And I am going to, you know, make an active effort, which is why then I'm like, okay, you're celebrating, I'm going to celebrate right with you. You're, you know, it's, if you're sad, then I will commiserate right with you. I will celebrate with people celebrating. I will mourn with people who are mourning. And it takes work, especially that encouraging thing, because when you do the whole comparison game and everyone's life is perfect and yada yada yada, it's really hard to, you know, you get that feeling in your gut and you start telling yourself all this stuff that it, you know, I can tell you that last week the song that I had going round and round in my head is "You're a Loser," which is ridiculous,
right?
But that's what you have to fight.
The battles, right?
That's
battles.
Battle. It is, and it's, you know, if you want to have any sort of life that you're happy with, it's hard, but you have to do it. But everybody has to do it. And I was watching TV the other day, and somebody turned around and said it's not their fault that their life has been easier than yours. And I was just like, it was nothing to do with anything, but I'm like, wow, that really hit me, you know, because we all see people and go, do you know, well, it's all right for them. It's all right for them. Well, that's not their fault. You know, we all have been through hard times. And some people have been through, oh my goodness, horrendous things that you would never wish on anybody. But it's all kind of relative. You know, you having a hard time doesn't actually mean that my hard time wasn't hard. Just as your success doesn't have any impact on my success. It's just different. Because you're you and I'm me. So that kind of went off on a weird thing, but that's honestly how my sort of thought process is, especially through all the social media stuff.
It's funny because I was just faced with that yesterday. Instagram changing their algorithms again, and like all platforms, they constantly change their algorithms again, and people have to always be mindful that Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, every social media, you know, all the free stuff that you that we use and love, and you know what I mean, and sometimes obsess over. Those things are, they're companies that are making money, and and their bottom line is always about money. So changing algorithms and everything is a part of that. And they were saying how you have to do this and do that to get, you know what I mean, to get into the algorithms of Instagram. And I was just like, I was faced with this yesterday, and I was like, nah. This year is focusing on my YouTube channel and engaging with the YouTube audience that have found value in the things that I do. So that's where my energy will be at this year. And also my Patreon campaign and giving value to my patrons that are following me and supporting me. Like, those are my only two objectives this year. That's what I set the year out as my intention. And so whatever Instagram does and whatever my numbers do, it's out of my control.
It's going to be what it's going to be.
Yeah, it's going to be whatever it's going to be. And I'm not going to chase it. I'm not chasing it. You know what I mean? It's not worth my...
Exhaust yourself.
Exactly. You're just going to exhaust yourself and dig yourself into the ground for what? You know, those are the battles. And it is hard. It's not easy that I say that. And it's not easy because I will go on Instagram and I will say, what happened to my engagement? Well, how come nobody liked this post? Was the picture bad? Did I say something to offend somebody? Yeah, like those questions still creep in, you know what I mean? But you can't let it consume you, you know what I mean? And you can't, if I chase down that rabbit hole of, I got to do everything that Instagram says that I need to do now, like, then where are my needles at? Like, where, you know what I mean? That's when
and it could change in a month.
Exactly. It can change in a month. But the things that's why you stay focused and stay true to what you want and where you want to go and how you want to feel at the end of it and where you want it to take you. Stay focused on those things and everything else will fall into place. And all the other stuff, like, it's not to say that it's easy, but it needs to be done and you do it.
No overnight success actually happened overnight.
Nope.
It seems that way, you know, but if you want something worthwhile, then you have to work at it.
Yeah.
If you want something that's going to last, then it's going to take time to build.
Yep.
You know, it's like I'm not very good at doing I've got a 5-year plan and a 10-year plan and I have no idea. Really, I struggle enough planning out ideas for the year.
Yes, my year is my max. My year is my max. And
even that can change.
Yeah, exactly. And even that can change. And my month is closer, but I'm more on like how do I get through the week? I'm totally like learning to expand my week into my weekly chunks. You know, where.
But then I know that I want my business to grow and last, and not just be something that I only do for the next 5 months, and then that's it. Well, that was nice, and you know, on to whatever the next thing is. That's definitely not my plan. My plan is to grow my business. My word for the year is actually nurture. So there's things that I set in place last year when my word was grace that I want to build on, that I want to grow, that I want to develop, because my ultimate goal is to keep the business going. And that is, it's just going to take time. And especially with, like I said, because I want to be consistent and I'm not doing things, you know, every day or however many times Google wants you to post or YouTube wants you to post. It's going to take longer anyway. So I might as well try and, you know, go, okay, I don't like the whole being patient thing, but it's going to take time. And so if I can do anything to enjoy it, then surely that's the point. And I'll get there.
That is definitely the point. That is so the point. You know, it's funny because they're like, why do you make whatever people want you to make, you know what I mean, so that you can make more money. You'll sell more stuff if you just do other things than the scarves, you know what I mean? And I'm like, no, because what I enjoy is making scarves. That's what I enjoy. I don't do this so that I want to, if I'm gonna if I'm going to take the time and spend my energy creating a business and a life that I love, why? Why would I let doing what other people want me to do creep into that?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? No, like all my energy will be cultivating into what puts joy into my life, you know what I mean? And not what other people want me to have. And that's another thing. I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing this to be a millionaire. I can't. I can either choose to be a millionaire and do everything, you know what I mean, anywhere that I can get money, or I can do what I love and cultivate that and nurture that. You know what I mean? Like, absolutely. It's crazy. Yes.
No, and that's another conversation that you have with yourself when you're, going, should I do this or should I do that? And it's like, is it really worth, if all you're going to get out of it is money, does that make it worth it?
Exactly.
And I think it's that thing of going, actually, my time is valuable. My energy is valuable. And actually, why do I want myself to be miserable? Why do I want to make myself really tired? When actually, I might have less money, but I was able to spend more time with my kids, or I was able to spend more time doing something I enjoy, because it's hard enough to have a good attitude. You need to, like, give yourself half a chance. If you're doing something that you hate, or, you've got some order and you're getting messages on your phone, when you look at your phone, you just go, oh, no.
Yeah.
It's not really any way to live. And I think a lot of people doing the whole creative thing, it's because you want to have a life that's worth living.
Yeah, you want to pursue your passions, and you want to do what you love.
Which is very easy for me to sit here and say, and much harder to actually do.
Yep. No, absolutely. Yeah. Sarah, this has been such an awesome conversation. This is a gem. I'm definitely bookmarking this, and I'm probably gonna rewatch this one over and over for myself, just to reinvigorate myself with all your knowledge and your goodness, and it's been such a joy and such a pleasure, and I'm so grateful that you said yes. Again, everybody, we're going to try it again. All of Sarah's link is down below in the description. Please leave a comment. Please tag Sarah. Please follow her and reach out to her, because to get to know this wonderful human being has been such a blessing of mine. And I would be remiss if I didn't encourage you guys to do the same and invite that kind of richness into your world by getting to know her. Sarah, I absolutely adore you. I seriously absolutely adore you.
You're so sweet.
Thank you. All right, guys. If you, I've been working on this, Sarah, but now this is the first time with a creative interview. If you haven't subscribed, there's the button. Oh no, but is it? Oh shoot! I thought I had it going, but it might not. I'm going to be dead honest with you.
Somewhere there's a button that says subscribe.
Our screen might be flipped. Our screen, I think, might be flipped. It might be on this side. If you've watched the videos that I've done already and what I've released, this has been the struggle, is where the freaking subscribe.
It's just a different type of dance party, that's all.
There's a subscribe button somewhere. You please find it, and you be sure to hit it.
Go hit that.
And if you guys like anything that I produce, anything that I've made, and I would really encourage you to check out my Patreon page. It's the link is also down in the description below, and see if any of the rewards resonate with you guys. All right. God bless. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you for such a wonderful hour. This is awesome. Bye.